In 2019, WikiLeaks co-founder Julian Assange was arrested and carried out of London's Ecuadorian embassy where he was seeking refuge. He's remained in Belmarsh prison, facing an extradition request to the US for espionage charges. The case relates to WikiLeaks' publication of thousands of classified documents about the Afghanistan and Iraq wars. On Friday, London's High Court ruled in favour of the US, allowing his extradition to take place. A number of legal hurdles remain, but Assange's lawyers are planning to appeal the decision, arguing his mental health is at stake.
The High Court accepted all the medical evidence and the conclusions of the magistrate that if Julian is extradited and placed under extreme conditions of isolation, it will drive him to take his own life. That extradition is oppressive.
Barrister Greg Barnes is an advisor to the Australian Assange campaign. Greg, what is the legal path from here for Julian Assange in the UK?
Well, the legal path is to go to the UK Supreme Court, which is like our High Court. And if he's not successful there, then it goes into the European Court process.
Is there a time frame on how this will play out? I assume the US is not allowed to extradite him until those legal avenues have been exhausted?
That's true, Lee, and that'll go into next year. That's the problem, given his declining health. This now needs urgent resolution because it will take some months to go into the UK Supreme Court.
What is the state of his health currently?
Well, it's in decline, and as we saw on Friday, Stella, his partner, said that he'd suffered a minor stroke. He continues to have serious mental health issues, as was documented earlier in the year. But also his physical health. He's in Belmarsh prison, which is one of the harshest prisons in the United Kingdom.
What do we know about what kind of conditions he would be held in if he were extradited to the US?
Well, the US is now saying that they've given assurances he would be he wouldn't be placed in solitary confinement, for example. But the US prison system is notoriously harsh, and if you've got health issues, it's not a place to be, irrespective of what assurances the United States might give.
How confident are you that the assurances the US gave are reliable?
We're not confident at all because the US has a track record in other cases of not honouring them. Secondly, if, for example, Trump was re-elected in 2024, anything could happen to those assurances. And thirdly, we do know that when it comes to on-the-ground enforcement of assurances, there's a lot left to be desired because it might be there's a policy at the top, but whether or not it translates into the prison system itself is another question.
Julian Assange is an Australian citizen. Is there any part the Australian government has to play in this?
Absolutely. They could end this tomorrow. They could speak to their Washington counterparts. It's a point that Bob Carr has made in the past. They could speak to the UK and they could end this matter. We saw it, Lee, as you know, in the David Hicks matter. It's not unprecedented and it ought to happen.
Australian authorities say Australia is not a party to this case.
But that doesn't matter. I mean, Australia wasn't a party to the David Hicks matter, and yet it moved when it had to ensure that Hicks could come back to Australia and not be left in Guantanamo Bay. It can do the same thing again. I mean, a lot of these extradition cases are political, and this is one.
Well, I was just going to make the point that the thing that finally prompted the action in that case 15 or so years ago was political pressure. It wasn't any kind of diplomatic or legal realisation on the part of the government. Is there enough political momentum around the Assange case to have the same effect?
I think it's building. I think the revelations about his having a minor stroke over the past few weeks builds pressure. I saw two very strong editorials in the Sydney Morning Herald and The Age today, which I think is building pressure on the government. I've actually been doing some media in New Zealand today, and there's some pressure in New Zealand for Jacinda Ardern to offer him asylum. So I think Australia can no longer sit on its hands and say, oh, it's consular assistance. It has to get involved in this case.
Do you think there's any more of a receptive environment in New Zealand than in Australia on this matter?
We do. And of course, New Zealand has a track record of standing up to the United States in the past. And there's certainly, on my intelligence, Lee, there's certainly some people within the New Zealand Labor Party and the Greens in government who would like to see something happen.
This has been going on for so long now. Who pays for Julian Assange's defence?
Well, a lot of it's been done pro bono. The work I've been doing for the last 8 or 9 years, most of it's been pro bono. And he's had some fundraising efforts, but it's a really expensive exercise for the British too, and the Americans and the Australians to have to service this case.
Greg Barnes, thank you.
Thanks, Lee.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.